China is being very clear about what it wants next in the ongoing trade talks with the U.S. Today, a spokesperson for China's Ministry of Commerce said that the U.S. must cancel all new tariffs in order for any kind of agreement to be reached. So it sounds like maybe progress going slower than we last heard a week ago when we heard news of a phase one deal. Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman here to break it all down. Rick, so deal or no deal, I guess. Well, seriously.
It's a phase one deal.
Well, but even the phase one deal doesn't look like it was real.
So I guess we have to define what phase one means, and of course they didn't do that. By the way, the Chinese didn't say it's a phase one deal. That was just the White House. So it couldn't be that phase one means we sat down at the table together. Phase two might be we opened our mouths and we had a discussion. Phase three
we ate the meal.
Somebody nodded their head together at the same time. So as we have seen many times before, we are getting different stories from Beijing and from Washington about what's exactly happening here. So I think what the Commerce Ministry spokesperson was trying to get at is for an all-encompassing trade deal, a final deal, if you will. That's not going to happen until Trump repeals all the tariffs. And I think that's been the understanding for some time. So, yeah. If we get to that point in these negotiations, which some people think we never will, that's probably a 2020 thing, if at all.
But there could still be hopes for at least a phase one deal in a couple of weeks, because China's saying if he drops the December 15th tariffs, they might be willing to actually sign that.
That would be phase two.
But he would need that as leverage, though, right?
Right. Well, that would be phase two, I guess, or phase three. You know, part of what's going on here is so China said what they're going to give. So Trump he delayed this tariff hike. He's already got a new tariff. Well, the one that was supposed to go into effect this week, it's already at 25%. The only thing that happened was instead of raising it to 30%, which is what Trump said he was going to do, he just left it at 25%. It's still there. It's not going away. It's not going back to zero. But so the Chinese said, well, you know, in exchange for that, we will start buying more U.S. agricultural products. The thing is, China needs the food. So they have been not.
Yeah, that's not really a give.
They have been not buying soybeans, pork, and other stuff like that. They have a swine epidemic in China, and they need pork. So China's saying, well, yeah, sure, we'll buy some food from you guys, but they need it. So is that a concession, or is that just China doing something that's in its interest? And meanwhile, everybody needs to know this. Every tariff that Trump has put in place so far is still there. Nothing has changed about that.
So I feel like because we've been talking about U.S. China trade for so long, I almost feel like we've even forgotten where we even started from. So I guess asking if you could just give us, again, a brief synopsis, what exactly are the remaining hurdles between the two sides?
There have been, Trump has now imposed new tariffs in differing portions on, I think, about $350 billion worth of Chinese imports. That has happened in phases since the middle of 2018, and there have now been 13 rounds of negotiations that have basically got us to whatever this phase one agreement is, even if it's a phony agreement. So, so where we stand is Trump has episodically raised tariffs on the majority of Chinese imports to the United States. Chinese imports to the United States have fallen, and global trade has slowed as a result of all this. China has retaliated. It is still hurting farmers. And there's stuff going on with other countries, too, but that's the biggest story. So we are in a trade war.
Well, and a good update on the tariffs, but to answer your question, which I think was useful for people who've forgotten, the biggest remaining sticking points, just quickly, forced tech transfers and IP.
Yeah, so why is Trump doing this? It's a lot of big stuff. Trump is basically saying we don't like the way you run your economy, but it's stop stealing Western technology, stop subsidizing the big companies, steel companies, aluminum companies, and so forth that give them an unfair advantage, and some other things. And there's been no agreement on any of that.
Right. Okay, those are the sticking points. Really good to remember. I think the average person does kind of
keep
lose
talking
track
about it,
of
but
where
we've already forgotten where we started from.
Absolutely.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.